Hello Year 6, my name is Miss Mars and I'm an English teacher at Moore Park High School and Sixth Form. As you'll have learned from the other English transition lessons, you'll be looking at ancient Greek myths and legends when you get to Year 7, so we're hoping to give you a bit of a taster of what sort of stories you can expect. Today I'm going to read you one story that really fascinated me when I was your age, and it is the story of Echo and Narcissus. So I'd like to sit back, I'm going to read it to you, and then I would like you to do a couple of activities for me so that you can get a feel for what English is like at secondary school. Okay, so the story of Echo and Narcissus. When Zeus came to the mountains, the wood nymphs rushed to embrace the jovial god. They played with him in icy waterfalls and laughed with him in lush green glades. Zeus's wife Hera was very jealous, and often she searched the mountainside trying to catch her husband with the nymphs. But whenever Hera came close to finding Zeus, a charming nymph named Echo stepped across her path. Echo chatted with Hera in a lively fashion and did whatever she could to stall the goddess until Zeus and the other nymphs had escaped. Eventually, Hera discovered that Echo had been tricking her, and she flew into a rage. "Your tongue has made a fool of me," she shouted at Echo. "Henceforth, your voice will be more brief, my dear. You will always have the last word, but never the first." From that day on, poor Echo could only repeat the last words of what others said. One day Echo spied a golden-haired youth hunting deer in the woods. The boy's name was Narcissus, and he was the most beautiful young man in the forest. All who looked upon Narcissus fell in love with him immediately. But he would have nothing to do with anyone, for he was very conceited. It means he was quite full of himself. When Echo first laid eyes upon Narcissus, her heart burned like a flame of a torch. She secretly followed him through the woods, loving him more with each step. She got closer and closer until finally Narcissus heard the leaves rustling. He whirled around and cried out, "Who's here?" From behind a tree, Echo repeated his word, "Here." Narcissus looked about in wonder. "Who are you? Come to me," he said. Narcissus searched the woods, but he could not find the nymph. "Stop hiding, let us meet," he shouted. "Let us meet." "Let us meet," Echo cried. When she stepped from behind the tree and rushed to embrace Narcissus, the youth panicked, and the nymph flung her arms around his neck. He pushed her away and shouted, "Leave me alone! I'd rather die than let you love me." "Love me," was all that poor Echo could say as she watched Narcissus run from her through the woods. "Love me, love me, love me." Humiliated and filled with sorrow, Echo wandered the mountains until she found a lonely cave to live in. Meanwhile, Narcissus hunted in the woods, tending only to himself, until one day he discovered a hidden pool of water. The pool had a silvery smooth surface. No shepherds had ever disturbed its waters, no goats or cattle, no birds or fallen leaves. Only the sun danced upon the still pond. Tired from hunting and eager to quench his thirst, Narcissus lay on his stomach and leaned over the water. But when he looked at the glassy surface, he saw someone staring back at him. Narcissus was spellbound. Gazing up from the pool were eyes like twin stars, framed by hair as golden as Apollo's and cheeks as smooth as ivory. But when he leaned down and tried to kiss the perfect lips, he kissed only spring water. When he reached out and tried to embrace this vision of beauty, he found no one there. "What love could be more cruel than this?" he cried. "When my lips kiss the beloved, they touch only water. When I reach for my beloved, I hold only water." Narcissus began to weep. When he wiped away his tears, the person in the water also wiped away their tears. "Oh no," sobbed Narcissus. "I see the truth now. It is myself I weep for. I yearn for my own reflection." As Narcissus cried harder, the tears broke the glassy surface of the pool and caused his reflection to disappear. "Come back! Where did you go?" the youth cried. "I love you so much. At least let me look upon you." Day after day, Narcissus stared at the water, in love with his own reflection. He began to waste away from grief, until one sad morning he felt himself dying. "Goodbye, my love," he shouted at his reflection. "Goodbye, my love," Echo cried to Narcissus from her cave deep in the woods. Then Narcissus took his last breath. After he died, the water nymphs and the wood nymphs searched for his body, but all they found was a magnificently beautiful flower inside the hidden pool where the youth had once yearned for his own reflection. The flower had white petals and a yellow centre, and from that time on it was called Narcissus. And alas, poor Echo, desolate after Narcissus's death, did not eat or sleep. As she lay forlornly in her cave, all her beauty faded away, and she became very thin, until her voice was all that was left. Thereafter, the lonely voice of Echo was heard in the mountains, repeating the last word that anyone said. Okay, so as you might be able to tell from that, my taste in literature is quite dark, so thankfully we get to teach a lot of Gothic literature, which is a bit more sinister and spooky to you in the coming years once you leave Year 7. So, with that cheerful tale in mind, I've got a couple of tasks that you might want to do. One task you might choose to do is to write a letter to the goddess Nemesis. Goddess Nemesis is in charge of giving revenge to people, okay? To try and persuade her not to punish Narcissus, because his end was quite sad. Or, if that one's not inspiring you, you could write a letter to Hera, you know, the goddess mentioned at the start, and try to persuade her not to punish Echo. If you don't feel like writing a letter, if you're a bit more of a performer, a bit more animated, you could maybe even write these as a speech instead of a letter. If you are proud of your work and want to share it with us, you could post it to our Facebook. We'd love to see it, be it your speech performance or your letter, or if you're a bit more reserved, you could just save it and show us it when we finally meet in September. It's been lovely to introduce myself. It's a shame I can't see all your faces. I hope you enjoy the last term of Year 6, even if you're spending it at home. Take care, Year 6, and I'll see you soon.